After 9. So we'll call a meeting to order. It is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I thank everybody for getting here today. Any minutes and reports received and filed, ma'am?
Yes, we have the county collector's January 2025 fees.
Okay. Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Well, I had them written down and left my papers over there, so do it this way. We have MAC Board of Directors to meet tomorrow. We're gonna do it Zoom. Supposed to have Campo meeting as well. Friday and Saturday is the HBA home show at the mall. And Wardsville Lions barbecue drive-through Saturday, if you're not doing anything. That's about it.
On my calendar, I have St. Mary's Foundation meeting tomorrow. Thursday is Road and Bridge meeting. Thursday, Toby Meyer and I are meeting with the House Budget Chair. And on Thursday evening, Central Bank is having an event for the new doctors at St. Mary's. That's what I have.
Okay. I've got tomorrow department heads meeting lunch. I don't know if that's going to keep a beat go on or not. And then I've got a meeting at the Capitol at 12:45. Thursday, I have the Homeless Task Force in the morning and our 250th committee meeting in the evening. And then Friday is the Chamber Leadership Forum. And then Saturday is Heartball. So get to go back to Capitol Plaza again. That's all I've got. And we have presentation from invited guests, and Elizabeth Anderson with MU Extension has a sick child, so she will present to us at a future date. And so we will go to presentation of the 2024 Cole County EMS Annual Report.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So over the last couple of years, we put together some very data-heavy annual reporting. This year we wanted to focus a little bit more on telling the story of our year, maybe cut down and make some of that data more consumable for folks. So each of you should have a copy of the annual report. Kind of highlights all the things that we've done this year and some of our current operations. Obviously, the big one that we want to talk about is a 1,300 call increase from 2023, so 13,626 calls for service. That's a big number, but unfortunately, for the last 90 days, so basically November, December, January, we're on a 15,000 call pace. So looking at another 10% increase. We don't know if that's sustainable, but in the short term, we are definitely busier than we have ever been. And if we do maintain a 15,000 call pace, probably going to need to look at expanding yet again. So very busy year, some very high profile events that you'll see outlined in here. Things that a lot of people always want to talk about, average response time. So takes us about 96 seconds to get out the door. We kind of shoot for an industry standard of 90 seconds, so we're pretty close there. We know that we have a little bit of improvement. Our response time en route to on scene is 7 minutes and 19 seconds on average. When you combine those two together, we're just the other side of 9 minutes, which is really kind of the NFPA standard for urban departments. But when you take into account the rural nature of some of the areas that we serve, to meet that 9-minute response time, we are tells us that we're adequately positioned and that our folks are doing a good job getting the people in need. One of the big statistics that we like to talk about is commitment factor. Commitment factor is the amount of time that our crews spend assigned to emergencies. That's from the time of alarm until they clear the hospital. And department-wide, that's at about 24.32%. So when you break that down on a 24-hour scale, that's about 6.5 hours that they spend assigned to a call on average every day, department-wide. But then you have to add basically another 20-ish% for restock, charting, cleaning, all the things that come with every call that they run. So we are just pushing right up against that 30% number, which represents, an average workday of 8+ hours. So they are actively engaged, responding to calls for 8+ hours. When we look at downtown, they answered 3,003 calls for service. There was only a small portion of the year where there were 2 trucks down there. But when you look at that medic unit number, their commitment factor is about 34%. So, they're pushing 45% commitment factor, which means that they're up and working about 12+ hours a day. So it'll be interesting to see how those numbers kind of change. What we've seen is, since we've put the other units down here, is that this station is running more of their calls, which means that they remain busy and the outside stations are offloaded a little bit. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic to see how these first 90 days kind of played out. So again, another great year of community engagement, totaling 96 boxes of toys for the Toys for Tots drive, over 4,000 gifts. So lots of good stuff this year. Happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Chief, there's a pie chart in here on page 8 about the revenue. I'm just curious, 49% revenue comes for fees for service and 32% is the sales tax subsidy, you might call it. Are those industry standards for ambulance districts in Missouri, perhaps?
I think we are pretty light on the sales tax portion of that. The reason for that is obviously 60% of the generated sales tax is put into the general fund to roll back the property tax, the general operating levy for the county. I would say that most districts are either operating off of a property tax where they are receiving 100% of that revenue, or they have a much larger portion of sales tax if they are generating sales tax revenue. So I would say that a larger portion of our revenue is generated from fees for service than traditional agencies.
I'm just going to bring up the first responders program. I know you and I have talked about that a little bit, and I'd like to maybe see if we can do something to address that in 2025. We've got some outlying areas that maybe don't have the volunteers in that area, and see if we can maybe meet with their city councils or the fire districts and see what we can do. I know we had one incident down in St. Thomas, and they were down there for a while doing some first aid and CPR and stuff, so they had some help down there. I know we've talked about it, so that's just one thing I want to bring up. I haven't heard anything else besides good things about the service, so nice job.
I will say that, when you look at the volunteer numbers, the first responder squad is, their membership's about 20 plus, which is as strong as it's been in, most recent history. Again, it goes back to getting volunteers in the right places at the right time, because if everybody's concentrated out west, that certainly doesn't help the communities in the southeast. So,
Well, like you said, they're all volunteers.
Correct.
So And I don't know, I guess if somebody's interested in it, do we do classes?
Yep.
Certain times of the year? Who do
Yep.
they contact, get a hold of us, get a hold of EMS?
Yeah, so one of the goals and efforts for 2025 is really building out and making the training center more robust, especially the classroom and the technology capabilities that we have down there. So we're in week 2 of our emergency medical responder course, which is the entry-level course to be a first responder. We have 6 folks enrolled in that from, I believe most of them are associated with local fire districts. So that class is in its 2nd week. And then
How many weeks is it?
I want to say 8 weeks. Don't quote me on that. But it's generally pretty manageable. The time commitment's one day a week for that time frame. And then EMT class, we are starting our first ever in-house EMT class, and that will start May 17th of this year. And we've had a big focus on getting high school students and new avenues for people to join into the first responder groups. And I believe that class has capacity for 20, and we have 14 people enrolled already. So.
Yep, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. If anybody wants one, there's a whole box back there.
Okay. Any commission comments? Bids and contracts, renewal 1 of concrete repair services.
This is the first renewal for the concrete repair services at Public Works. Last year, this was awarded as a multi-bid award. This year, All Season Landscaping did propose a 15% increase, where the others didn't have an increase at all. But our recommendation is still to renew it as a multi-bid award as the lowest and best with available material.
I'm good with it. I don't have it in front of me right now. Printed them out and left them over there, but I've got them here somewhere.
You want this one?
Yeah. Eric can have it or whoever.
Just to ask you that, we use that, we've done about 2 or 3 a
So
year.
the- yeah.
We've used this about 2 or 3 times a year for the past 2 years, I believe. And it basically allows us to get some of these concrete streets fixed up using the, as allowed by the 2018 change of the prevailing wage law to do up to $75,000 without having to pay prevailing wage, so it's been pretty helpful. And working with Jessica to get the contract bid out and everything, so.
Okay, so then are we doing it, did you say all seasons landscaping, right?
We wanted to
Or
still renew
lowest
it
and
as a
best?
multi-bid award.
Still lowest and best
Lowest and
available?
best.
Yeah.
And available,
Okay.
yeah, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal 1 of the concrete repair services for lowest and best available.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval and signing of TransUnion contract for the sheriff's department.
Currently, the sheriff's department has a contract with TransUnion. It's an investigative tool that we utilize, my detectives utilize. We get 500 transactions a month with that. This last month, we were getting close to 500. Last month, we went to 566. Since we went over, they wanted to charge us an extra $145. Then they also stated that we could go to the next level, which is, right now we're paying $175 a month, but they want to go up to $210 a month. And it would give us up to 600 transactions, would be more than adequate for us. It's an increase of $35 a month. We don't need it in, we don't need to change any kind of budget, but we do need a contract signed. It's a 3-year contract, thereby I need the commission to sign for it.
I'll make a motion to sign the pricing sheet, pricing supplement with TransUnion as explained by the sheriff.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
sir. Bid award and contract signing for 2025-02 plumbing services.
We bid out the plumbing services for the county, and we have 2 vendors that submitted a response, Summit Mechanical and United Mechanical Services. Our recommendation is to award this as a multi-bid award and do it as the lowest and best bid with available material. We did this last year and we didn't get anyone to bid on it. So it was good that this year we got two.
No, I found this one. I found the other one too as soon as we got finished with it, so. Okay. You good with that too?
We have two contracts here as well.
You got a contract for both of them
For
then?
both of them, yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to award and bid the plumbing services as needed to lowest and best available with United Mechanical Services and Summit Mechanical Incorporated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, bid award of 2025-03 exterior repairs, Health Department.
So we bid out all the exterior repairs over at the health department. We had 3 vendors submit a response. Greg and I have been talking, and our recommendation is going to be awarded to GBH Builders in the amount of $140,949. Just due to the fact of their project timeline, they're able to get in 2 weeks from notice, and then the project should only take about 90 days, compared to the lowest that was about 9
Almost
months or
a
so.
year.
Yeah,
Till the end of the year.
until December of 25 is what it says, and to start March of 25. And this included fixing all the siding, painting,
Replacement of damaged boards, everything,
the atrium windows inside.
atrium windows, yep.
You finding that, Jeff?
No, still kicking it around. I hadn't looked at that one real close, but, I mean, is it gonna be that big a deal if they've got a longer time to do it for $18,000? Because they're not gonna be blocking everything, are they?
We shouldn't will they be blocking things.
I understand wanting to get them in and out, but if they're not gonna be in the way, then,
Yeah, they're gonna have scaffolds set up, yeah, and everything else around the building.
not around the whole thing at one time.
Probably not, but still, it's just,
Can we table this one? I'll talk to Greg some more about it.
that's what,
Okay,
look, yeah.
That's good.
okay, we'll table that.
You want us to put it on next week's agenda?
That's fine, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll make sure I talk to Greg probably today.
Okay.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, if you got any more like this, let me know ahead of time too, because I didn't realize we were looking at doing something different than the lowest, so I'll kick it around.
Lowest and best.
Okay. Approval and signing. You got more?
No,
Okay. Approval and signing of Nelson Systems, Inc. quote.
Good morning.
morning, again.
So this is a quote to replace the phone and audio recording in the 911 communication center. Also, it will allow us to maintain the ability to record the computer and CAD screens so that we have records of calls as they are being received. The current recorder is one of those where I don't even want to say how long past the end of life that it is. But this does fall in line with the continuous upgrades of that center and bringing it up to national standards. I think this is really the last big piece that is out there. This was in my capital request this year. Total amount is $28,371.20. This is on cooperative purchase, and we are saving about $9,088 off of list price. Happy to answer your questions.
All good, it's in your budget, so, and you save money.
Yes.
Yeah, we like saving.
I'll make a motion to approve the Nelson Systems quote of $28,371.20 for EMS.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. New
There is
business.
signature.
New business, accounts payable review.
Ask for approval of accounts payable pending review.
I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval of change orders 2, 3, and 4 for HVAC system replacement.
These are change orders for the HVAC system over in the annex building that they're working on. 2 and 3 were dated in October, but I don't show that they've ever been officially approved and signed off on, and we need that for ARPA funds. The total of 2, 3, and 4 change orders equals $16,283. And Greg can go more into detail about the work on each of those.
I've discussed all three. I've talked to all three about these change orders. One is for structural steel for the new rooftop unit. One was for ductwork, and the other one was for some grills that was not in the original bid on change order 1. All three of you just got to keep moving with the project, so now we just need to have you all sign the paperwork to make it legal, so. Questions, Jeff?
So the grills weren't included in the original bid?
Up on the top floor, no, not for the new ductwork, for the rooftop unit. As well as the, I think I've got that right, I may have got it wrong.
There's one of them we talked about, and that was because of the weight of it and some different support.
Right,
one
that was
we did
change
talk
order
about.
number 4. Change order 2 is the ductwork for the rooftop unit. Then change order 2 was the grills for the 4th floor mezzanine. Once we took them apart, they were rusted and were falling apart, so we just had to go ahead
Okay,
and change them.
which one was the one for, because it was the
Which-
weight of it and the bracing, 4, 3, or
4
4?
for 5428.
Okay, yeah, we talked about that one already. And what's that, 0389, that proposal for the 1718?
17, 18.
Yeah, 1718 was the grills for upstairs on the 4th floor, mezzanine.
Why wasn't that included in on it?
No, because we didn't change much of the ductwork up there. But once we pulled the grills down, they were all falling apart. I wasn't about to put old grills back up.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Sorry. I was going to try to paint them, but I didn't want to get in trouble.
And then what was the 4th one? Or whatever, is that 0405?
9137 was for the, once we got where the rooftop was going to go, we had to redo the ductwork because it was not bid from the first proposal.
Okay, we talked about that one. Okay, yep, I'm good.
Can we do it with one motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve change orders number 2, 3, and 4 on the HVAC contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First reading of budget adjustment number 1. Okay. Table that, okay. Signing of the representation letter for the 2021-2022 GEMT cost report.
All right, so this is like a lot like filing your taxes. We file a tax return to the GMT program. They issue us an initial refund, and then they go back and audit it in years after that. And one of the interesting things about this program is rules sometimes change after you've submitted your initial cost report. So it's hard to get a hard number of what you're actually submitting for our consultants. So for 22's cost report, the proposed final audit came back and we owe $357.93 back to the state. So again, I think this goes back to and demonstrates the fact that we have the right consultants building these reports. anytime you can get within a few $100s of the actual amount, I think that's pretty good. Some years we get a couple $1,000s extra back. Some years we pay, but as we know, the first year when we didn't have the right consultants, we know what that bill was. So I have zero problems with $357.93. They're still working through this to make sure that is actually the correct number. But we do have to get this representation letter signed and back to them today. So just ask that you go ahead and sign this. Happy to answer your questions.
I'll make a motion to sign the rep letter on the GEMT, is that what's called?
Yes.
Report showing a balance due of $357.93.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any new business before we go into unfinished business? Okay, unfinished business. Salary discussion for offices, county elected officials, and county departments.
I've just got the email. We couldn't get it to print to one page, so
You want a full screen?
I'm fine here. I've got it here.
Sam, you want a
Yes,
full screen?
please. Okay, we've been kicking this can down the road for quite a while, so I'd like to get it settled today if at all possible.
Well, I'll just go ahead and start.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily a spokesman, but I want to go through the reasons why I believe we've got 6 elected officials, all similar size, and from either 1 to 5 full-time employees, so, small offices. This would be the auditor, collector, treasurer, public administrator, recorder, and county clerk. So our request is coming from those 6 elected officials. And as long as I've been budget officer, basically every other elected official and department has received salary adjustments in addition to COLAs. And none of these 6 offices has received anything but COLAs in the past 2 to 3 years, as long as I've been budget officer. So our request is a 5.5% increase on the current, well, it can either be the current salaries or we can go back to the beginning, the salaries that we started the year with before the COLAs, however. But our request is 5.5% and to be distributed among their employees as per the discretion of the elected official. So, like if you approve that, I get 5.5% on my 2 employees, and I'll divvy that up the way I see fit. So that is our request. I will briefly go through every other official and department that's, there's 2 exceptions, and I'll talk about them later. But as far as the other elected officials, the sheriff, you've approved. Every employee in the sheriff has received salary adjustments over and above COLAs for over the past 2-year period, and I know John's not asking for anything. In addition, the assessor, last year, he went through the process of working with Sheila and requesting raises, and he got approved raises for a majority of his employees got raises last year ranging from 3 to 11%. I know in his budget he said please, he wants to be considered this year the same as everybody else, but we didn't include him because he already went through that process and got raises for the majority of his employees. He does still have a couple of people that make less than 40,000, so his salaries are still maybe a little lower than some, but we're not including him in this. The prosecuting attorney last year, all their attorneys got raises. Majority of their clerks and legal assistants got raises ranging from 6 to 12% due to promotions. He's big enough, I guess he can. You created at least 3 levels of legal clerks, so that gives them the opportunity to get raises, which in fact they did last year. So not all of them, but
Well, yeah,
majority of them did.
I think he's asking for some for his office manager.
Yeah, that's why we're not including him though, because
Okay,
his office is totally different, much bigger.
Okay.
We wanted to limit it to these 6. Our request to the 6
And you've got
offices
commission
that are
too.
no, we're not including commission, just the 6. We don't have any say on what you pay your employees. We've decided as a group, us 6 are making our request, and that's it. So you consider, you want to consider everybody else that's directly under your supervision, then that's up to you. So, as far as all the other departments under you, I've noted that the health department over the last couple of years, almost all their employees have received some type of adjustments. Most recently, the nurses. I think last year it was the environmental people, and even I think majority of their office people got 2 years ago got some adjustment. They have no one making under 40,000. I think to me, just on the surface, it looks like their salaries are pretty comparable, or and overall they're not really behind in any position. That Christie might argue differently, but that's again, that's not. But they have gotten raises. Public Works, I won't get any detail. You just approve raises for pretty much everybody in their department. EMS, you approved a salary scale that gives raises to everybody in their department. The courts, they're a little different because the circuit judge kind of sets their salaries. But Pringer got a lot of, over the last 2 years, almost everybody in Pringer got raises, some very significant. The other court employees, the bailiffs or marshals, got raises over and above the COLAs previous year. Pre-trial kind of reorganized with the retiring of the 2 long-time. Now they have 4 full-time employees. I think they were kind of set at a market rate. So I think all the court employees got their raises. The IT, I'll throw GIS in there. Not that Melissa got any big raises, but they've kind of doubled in size, and their salaries were considered over the last 2 to 3 years. And so I think their salaries were set at the market, kind of a market rate. So to be able to get them in. As far as the commission employees, you're kind of different because within your department, you've got at least 3 department heads that make a lot more than what the employees were asking raises for. And they all got raises. They all got salary adjustments in the last 2 years. You may have 2 that have not, maybe that you might want to consider looking at specifically, but we're not including that in this. You supervise them. Now the 2 that kind of piggybacked onto us a bit, but again, I think we're not asking for them because they're your employees. Maintenance has not gotten any raises over above COLAs since I've been here, and emergency management, right now you just have 1 full-time employee, but she has not gotten any raise above COLA since I've been budget officer. So the 6 of us are requesting, did I say that, 5.5%?
Above the COLA that was given this year.
Yes. We think that's a fair request since almost every other department and elected officials received salary adjustments over the past 2 to 3 years. These 6 have not. So That's our request.
So, excuse me, several of our offices, I know for sure the collector, the clerk, the assessor, and the recorder are going to have new responsibilities this year with the senior tax credit coming into play this year. So not only have we not gotten raises in the past, but we're also getting new job responsibilities. And at least 4 of those offices, and it may end up involving, I'm sure it will in some part involve the auditor, and if we could drag the public administrator into it too, we would do that. So. Sorry, Ralph.
It's all right.
Didn't mean to throw you under the bus, but we're going to need all the help we can get for this project. Again, a lot of employees that you have given raises to haven't gotten them because of job responsibilities. They've gotten them a lot because of job demand. Well, we think an increase in responsibility is just as important as job demand. And by not ever giving them raises, you're kind of sending a message, in my opinion, to our employees that, hey, if you don't like what you're getting paid, go somewhere else. And that's certainly not a message I want to send. My employees have all been there a lot of years. One of my deputy collector worked in the assessor's office previously, so she's got experience that benefits our office greatly. She can answer a lot of questions that at times we have trouble getting answers from the assessor. So I think we're all solidly behind what Mark says, that this 5.5% is a reasonable request, not anything excessive by any means. I know I've come to the commission before for raises, and for the most part has been overlooked. I think maybe you did give a 1% last year, which is
Everybody got that.
everybody got that,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much nothing. If you take 1% of what they're making and you divide that into 26 paychecks, and it's $30 a month or something. It's not doesn't go a long way with inflation these days. So we would certainly hope that you would give great consideration to this and look upon it favorably. We think our employees are deserving. We don't come to you often with this kind of request. So we hope that you realize the importance of it to each of our offices, that we feel so strong about this. And we hope that the information that Sheila has put together for you kind of indicates that that's a reasonable request also.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to confirm also what Larry was saying. As long as HR conducted the comparisons, I believe she has, and the financials confirm the feasibility, and I believe they do, then I also believe that we should proceed with the adjustment of 5.5%. It didn't seem to appear there were other counter offers made on the other county salaries, so I am sticking with the 5.5% too, and that is above COLA.
And again, I just wanted to add, based on the information I have and what I've heard in the last couple of weeks, and looking at the information that Sheila put together, it certainly sounds like the justification is there for a 5.5% increase. Now, having said that, I fully understand that we all think external resources around it are going to be reduced because we have a new administration in Washington, we have a new administration at the state capitol. But by the same token, I think I heard a couple of weeks ago that the county has earned $2.5 million in interest in the last couple of years. So if we don't do a general pay increase now, when will it ever be done? And if we can do this, I really think it sends a positive message to all of our employees. especially mine, what it would say is that, hey, we recognize what you do. We value your service. And we know it's not easy, because it's not. At least in my office, my staff is on the front line. And whatever major issues we have, they're the ones that have to deal with it first before they kick it up the ladder to me. And I think I'm coming to some of you commissioners from time to time, and I've shared with you some of the huge challenges that my office faces every day. And quite frankly, it's getting worse. But a lot of those challenges start on the front line with my staff. And the other thing I want to point out to you all as well, which you well know, is that I eliminated a position by rearranging, reorganizing the duties in my office. By being able to do that, I estimate I'm saving the county on that one position alone, counting the benefits, which I think, Mark, you said is 35%, more or less, of an annual salary. That salary I eliminated was about $38,000. So you add another 35% to that. So we're looking at probably between 45 and 50,000 a year we're currently saving in my office from 5.5 years ago when I first started. When I first started, they had 4 full-time positions. They had 2 part-time positions. So that's 6 bodies. We're doing the same amount of work with only 3. And it's getting more difficult. So I think that 5.5% is very well justified, not only for my department, but the others as well. And like I said, from time to time, I think all of us public officials need to take time out and recognize what all of our frontline employees do. They are the bread and butter. They are what keeps the wheels of county government greased. And I think now is the time to do this, because I truly believe, like you 3 believe, that it's going to be more of a challenge to maintain a decent surplus in the county. And not only that, I think the taxpayers of Cole County would support an effort to increase the salaries of all of our frontline people in the county government. And the last thing I wanted to point out, just looking at the what I call the salary grid, or the spreadsheet, if you will, of Cole County. My chief deputy is the lowest paid, which I get it, I kind of understand it. But she is the lowest paid by almost $6,000. My lead deputy is the lowest paid by almost $1,400. And my one deputy that I just hired is underpaid compared to the next lowest by $2,000. So I think there's certainly a case to be made to increase their salaries. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you all, fully realizing that whenever we all come to you, you all are in a very unenvious position, because now you're being asked to make difficult decisions, just like you did for some of the other department heads that you worked with and agreed to give their employees more money. So we're looking for the same treatment. And I'll be happy to answer any questions about my comments or observations.
Just a quick comment, Ralph, when you eliminated that one position, there was a bit of a modification that 45, 50 savings wasn't complete savings, because you modified some salaries as a result of that and kept some of that, not all, maybe not even half of it. But
it was $1,100 per position.
Okay.
Before taxes, you divide that by 24 paychecks. It's not a whole lot. The county is still coming out way ahead.
I agree, and I wish more elected officials could trim the way you did, but I was just recognizing, I think, that if you said 1,100 times 3,300 times 12 months, 36, so half of it was booked and half of it wasn't, or whatever.
Yeah.
the number is.
But
Got it.
still is over 40,000 savings.
I think the collector's office has also done that, so.
Well, I
A
think
couple
we
of
should
times.
all be doing that. We should always constantly look how we can operate lean and mean.
Have y'all done that? Did y'all look at eliminating any positions? Have y'all considered that? Any of the offices? I mean, it's already happened in your office once, it's happened in your office. I'll pick on the auditors, and we've added 2 or 1.5 in the last few years.
You mean, there was only a half of a
You
position?
got 3.5 counting yourself right now, right?
No, just 3. Oh, okay.
Lisa's
Lisa's
done.
done. That, she's pretty much done.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's back down to 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
Counting me, yeah, yeah. There's always been one full-time employee there. With,
Right.
Kristen got added a second full-time employee. And, just temporarily I have extra help for the transition,
Yeah.
but that's done. That's done. So I don't need that extra half, for sure. We're done with that. I mean, I hope all the elected officials consider their day-to-day operations and how they're being met, and if I could eliminate a position, I think I could, I certainly would, but I don't think I can. With the duties that we have and that we need to do.
I don't think any public official in this room is going to arbitrarily try to eliminate a position without first looking to see if it's going to impact the services or the statute to which they were elected to uphold.
And then Ralph, you mentioned the $2.5 million interest. That's this year. We're dipping into that if we go with the youth center, depending on how much we spend on that. So that money's not always going to be there. That's basically one-time money. These changes are going to roll and roll and roll, and you're going to break the county at some
The
point.
question is, at what point will you all recognize a little bit more the value of what our employees do and try to make it more competitive? And I don't mean.
So where's
competitive
it
against
not
the private
competitive
sector.
at, Ralph? Where's it not competitive? Because the numbers I'm seeing from Sheila is that we're in there, higher, lower, different places. I mean, if we're losing a lot of people, we've addressed those issues in some of the places.
But like I said, I'm mainly looking at, in Cole County, I'm looking at my people as well, compared to Cole County. I think there's certainly room to justify increasing their wages to make it more competitive here.
I think there's some adjustments that need to be made, but I'm not gonna vote for 5.5% across the board. I can't do it. I need to, there's some, and Ralph, one of them you may be arguing is your chief deputy. Should they make the same as a chief deputy in any office right now? And I think everybody's gonna argue that their chief deputy probably does more, is more qualified, or knows how to do this and that more than somebody else. I couldn't argue with you on it. I don't know what they do.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that's part of the problem is that we've got that. For some reason, that never was adjusted, and it is behind.
I'll go back to the request I made for the last 3 years. Salary study. We need our positions to be better defined too, by job duties, pay ranges, pay scales. So, I mean, does
So
my
if you
chief
do a-
deputy deserve more? I know he makes more, but by statute, he's required to have training, education, and experience in accounting and auditing. I don't see that, and I'm not belittling anybody else's, but that's, I think that's how mine got to be the highest paid.
So
of
if you
the
do a
chief
salary
deputies,
study,
so.
are you gonna go along with it? So if it says you shouldn't be making as much, are you gonna do
If
pay
that's what
cuts?
it says, sure. I would consider that, yeah.
Consider it.
Well, I mean.
So, I mean, that's essentially
yes.
what Sheila did here, was the salary study. I mean, she even went to the counties that you all wanted her to. So, do you know the salaries, Sheila, are those base salary, or is that what that actual position is making right now?
Correct.
That's what they're making right now?
That's
So
the information I
these,
was provided.
these could be for somebody that's been working in that position for 30 years and has had significant increases over the years.
One of the respondents, Jeff, I think, did provide years of service on their response, but most did not. And not all first-class counties responded to the Sunshine Report.
I met with, I guess, the half dozen for a week or so ago, and we visited and had good discussions. You know, where I separate the six versus what we've done over the last couple of years, when these other changes and additions, raises, were market forces raises. You know, the sheriff came to us and said, hey, the surrounding counties are poaching my deputies, they're poaching my jailers. When Eric Landwehr of Public Works made his pitch, it was market forces for the laborers or the operators, the mechanics, so on. So I didn't see as strong a argument for these six officials under market forces, more of let's make it fair. So I tried to back into a number or come up with a number based upon some math. And I look back at what we've done over the last 4+ years with COLAs and compared that to COLAs of that's broadcast by the Missouri State Tax Commission. They go and pick a number and they actually base it upon some federal study and then state modified. And I can see where there's been a little slippage, that the COLA that we've put on the table the last 4 years is a little short of what even the Missouri State Tax Commission said the COLA should be. Not by much, it's only a couple points. But by using that number, and then also there was this general discussion about there ought to be something considered for longevity. Maybe it's at state government they're considering this now, that over time, maybe 0.5% per year, there ought to be some just seniority number built in, 0.5% per year. So putting those two numbers together, I was able to back into or come up with almost 3%, right at 2.97 or something like that. It was a rough and dirty calculation, but it was a calculation. So I was settling on this 3%. That's where I'm kind of sitting today. Is yes, you've made good arguments, you made good persuasive statements with respect to your people, and your people should be proud that they've got bosses that are looking out for them, and as a result, you're asking for the 5.5. And where I'm sitting today is as a 3% for each of your offices, but then it's up to you to how to allocate that 3%. It's not automatic 3% for every employee in your office. It's up to you to do something with that 3%.
And what about the longevity part of it?
Well, that was inside the 3.
That's inside the 3?
Yeah. But you know, we can't all of a sudden say, wait a minute, we've got somebody that worked there 14 years, divided by or then 0.5%. We got to give them 7%. It's only it's the first time I've heard of it at state government that they're looking at some kind of longevity, seniority kind of a number. So you don't do that retroactive to the time those people started. I will tell you this, I think, market-wise, we're competitive, and actually, if you just went next door, less than 100 yards away from where we sit, in a building called the Cole County Courthouse, you're going to find a lot of state clerks over there that don't make the kind of money that your people make. We don't lose people to go across the breezeway to state government. We don't lose them over there, not that I'm aware of. Now, they turn them over a lot over there, and that's an unfortunate thing, and maybe that's why they turn over a lot, is because they're not well compensated. But I don't see the market force argument as strong for your 6. We're going to have to call you guys the dirty half dozen, I guess. We've always heard of the dirty dozen, but this is just a dirty half dozen. But that's where I am. Now I'm rambling, so I'll stop there.
I was gonna, do you recall, Sheila, were there some years of service adjustments a couple of years ago? Because I think it was kind of in response to Public Works was having their problem was, Jeff's favorite word, compression. So I think they approved some adjustment for Public Works to get some of their long-term employees higher than their new people. Then I think that kind of snowballed into everybody in the county got some
In Public Works.
years of
separate
service.
direction plan included years of service.
Yeah. So I think a couple of years ago, everybody in the county did get a little bit for years of service. So
Just one more thing that I just thought of. Ask Mark to take that number, 5.5%, and project it, and then look at the county budget as if, and not the kind of money we're carrying forward, because we do have some heavy reserves, which we're going to eat up one of these days. Do we have a good balanced budget? Can we absorb this 5.5%? And he came back with, yes, it can absorb the 5.5%. It's getting close. We're disappointed with, I think, our sales tax revenue for the first 2 months of this year. You can't make a strong projection on what's going on there, but even the state is recognizing some downturn on sales tax revenue. Not sure why. But it's getting a little close. To echo Eastern District Commissioner, I wouldn't say break the county, but we got to be careful that we haven't operated at you might say, operating loss when the revenue collected is exceeded by the expenditures made. Mark, the auditor tells me that we can absorb these and without a problem. We do have some other areas yet to address, right? I mean, you mentioned it.
Yeah, it wasn't even including maintenance and
With the maintenance
EMPM and anybody else that comes in to request.
I think some of our lowest paid employees are your one employee and your people. And it's kind of what we went through with Public Works. How the heck do you get anybody who will come to work for $33,000 a year? So even though they're under us, whatever we do with you, I would like to do with them.
That's fine. I support, like I said,
my thing
those
is
two
next
offices
year,
have
rather
big
than doing
calls,
like a
or
2.5% COLA, we lump it together, rather than doing the 2.5 and then coming back asking 5.5. So you're at 7% increase. Again, and I was looking at 3%. Mainly because we've got the 2.5%. So if we add 3% onto the 2.5%, then we're at your 5.5. So
you're talking about the COLA that you approved for 2020, 2025
Yeah.
for everybody? That was 2.2 plus 500. So that was countywide. That was more like a 3% COLA.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, that was my intent to recommend a total of 3% COLA, which is what you approved, but it was a 500 plus 2.2.
But that would take these 6 up to 7, over 7.5, 7, and
So you mentioned that's still a lot less than what you've given to other departments, other employees.
Well,
you just gave them what they asked for. You didn't even say, "Oh, we're only going to voted no." I agree. I can appreciate your no vote,
But I'm
except
gonna
for
go
today.
back. Okay, so salary study. I'm not crazy about it, but I mean, if that's the way we got to go to find some kind of middle ground, are you gonna go with what they say? I think part of the Archer study was, we ran into some people didn't write as good of a job description and didn't get as much of a, I don't know, a favorable rating. So they weren't a grade 6 or 7, and they were just a grade 3. It's kind of how it was written. I don't know if you remember, kind of same way, LV, you were around
It
for
was
that.
before me, but I used it and read through it several times, and that was an issue. There was, even in, you'll continue to use Archer for some salary increase request, and,
Right.
and I found that back then in my first or second year, I submitted 3 of them to the Archer people, and I wrote one for one of my employees that was not a good at doing that task, and the other 2 employees wrote their own. The one I wrote got a raise, the other 2 didn't. So to me, it was all in how it was written, not necessarily what the job duties were that were performed.
And I think the years of service on that Archer study kind of threw off that too, because you had your starting, your middle, and then your high end. But people with the years of service, 3% on top of their salaries have increased is greater. So it was hard to use that Archer study as time went on.
Yeah, and I don't think we could afford to actually bring it in and do it exactly the way they said. So then we kind of stuck there and we ran into same issues. And then when we do merit raises, then somebody gives this person takes care of this one, and then you bring somebody else in and they, well, this is really good. I can't pay them that much less than this employee. I need to be able to pay them more, and we run into that. And so I'm not totally against the salary study if that's the way we can get something and try to fix it. I
Was
think
this
there's,
a salary study, what we just did with the
Well,
comparables of other counties? But we were mostly comparing our was Cole County to Cole County and what has been done in the past 2 years versus these offices being kind of left out of the
No,
increase.
Sheila's spent a lot of time, not with just us, but other departments that have requested, but it's hard, especially as a budget officer, when I'm get these salary requests. If I had, like other bigger counties, I think Boone County, you can slot every their employees into a grid, right? And even the city, city of Jefferson, right? The same thing.
For the most part,
Yeah. Okay.
But they have
We
their
can't
own
do
line
that
issue,
here.
that's the
Well,
problem.
okay, sheriff has his scale. Now, I guess some of the larger departments now have their schedules, but
EMS
when
has
it
their
comes
own.
when it comes to a lot of it, I don't know what as budget officer, I don't know how the best way is to slot Larry's employees versus mine or Ralph's. I just know we're kind of similar in that we're all, most clerical office type jobs as opposed to maintenance or construction, or public works or EMS is a totally different, or sheriff. But still, it's hard to, if we had more structure for everybody countywide in our
kick and scream,
duties and yeah. It would be
So I might kick
easy.
and
It would be
scream.
easier on everybody. I
if the
think.
salary study is the way we have to go,
But how long does that take? And in the meantime, we're not doing anything for your employees. So I would like to do something for them today, and then we can do a salary study. But again, that could be next year before the end of the year before we get.
are you gonna do something for anybody that's not had an adjustment in the last couple of years, or 3 years, or 5 years? Because there's people in different areas that have not had adjustments. There's
Mhm.
a lot of them that have had adjustments, under us especially. So,
Yes.
I think there's a couple assumptions that are being made that might not be correct. And one of them is this tug of war between whether the county can afford what these 6 offices are requesting in light of what other offices have already gotten versus the reserve that commissions have said literally for years and years and years and years that we have to be careful. We're getting near the end. We're getting near this group of 6 need to hold off on our raise request because you all are going to bump up against a reserve that's going to be eaten up by projects that are always in the pipeline. I would say, why don't you take one of those expensive capital projects and delay it for a year or 2 or 3 and make sure the county employees are all treated fairly, including this group of 6, the dirty half dozen, instead of making us wait or put it off for who knows how long because of this argument about project money sitting in a reserve account. And I hope that makes sense to you. Why not just delay for a year, 2 or 3? Because these projects have been talked about for years and years and years.
No, the Printer Center, we've got to do something here
That's not gonna
very quickly. And that's going to be millions of dollars on that. And then sometime,
It doesn't have to be. We got ARPA money, so
well,
we can just spend $6.5 million.
I'm just saying, the money's there. If you all want to help on finishing the project at the expense of 6 offices and a few others that have been left behind, that's a choice you guys are going to make. I'm just pointing it out that it's a false choice. You don't have to tell one group no.
Well, I think that's,
These projects have to be built by a certain period of time because they haven't been built. They've been in the planning stages for years and years and years, and that money to pay for them has been accumulating. And I think you understand what I'm saying. The other thing I wanted to point out was this idea that the consumer price index and some form of, did you call it seniority pay?
Longevity pay, seniority pay.
Instead of seniority. So the idea that you have a that our group of 6 should get, in essence, what other offices got because of the effect inflation has had on their purchasing power, the CPI, and some sort of longevity pay. Again, you're saying you all can have your money or part of what you want because of inflation and because of longevity. That twists everything around it again because then you're going to have other offices saying, well, we never got a pay raise because of inflation. We didn't get a pay raise because of this group of 6 now. If we get this, it's going to be because of inflation and because of some nod towards longevity, possibly. I don't understand exactly what this is headed, but that's not what we're asking for. Not only are we asking for 5.5, we're asking for 5.5 based on the fact that other offices, which include employees that do something similar to what our office employees do. We're not talking about the poachable, highly market attractive employees that was the source, the trigger of these directors and elected officials coming and asking for pay raises to begin with. We're asking for our employees to be treated like other employees in other offices because they deserve it, which gets back to what Larry was saying about the message you send employees. I would like the group of 6 employees and any others that come along later to get a pay raise because other employees got this pay raise and they are just deserving as the others. And the CPI, I mentioned that, if I can say this, Harry, I mentioned that in our informal meeting we had because I thought the CPI or some version of it should be part of what the commission always considers every year in the annual budget process as a main factor for why the pay raise should be, the COLA should be what it should be. And when I mentioned it at our meeting the other day, I was looking at the broader annual budgeting process that we've also lagged on inflation. But I wasn't saying that that's why we should get it, why the employees should get a pay raise. Pay raise, I'll just say this is the last thing, the pay raise should be done because it's the fair thing to do. It's the right thing to do. You did it for all the other offices, and I guess I would ask if you're not going to give us the 5.5, please help us understand why our employees are not as deserving as other employees that do very similar things in their office.
Do you operate a $400,000 piece of equipment?
I'm not talking about them. I just pointed out that I'm not talking about the market attractive positions, the poachable positions, whatever synonym you want to use. Those were the ones that triggered the request to begin with. But then when they bring in their whole department, you all ended it, and Mark went through them. Rank and file, back office, clerical, people who aren't driving the equipment, people who aren't carrying a firearm, people who aren't tending to, medical needs of somebody coming into the health department. I'm not talking about those people. I specifically said there's a whole group of people in all those different departments, the office people, let's call them. That's what our employees do, and they got a raise. Ours didn't. That's the heart of what makes this unfair. Is someone
Like the sheriff, everybody got, I mean, he started with his deputies, his jailers, but then all his office boys got more than COLA. Right.
Anyway,
For example.
I get your point about the projects pushing them off, but those are one-time costs. These are gonna be every year.
Absolutely.
So that's my only argument on that one. I see where you're coming from on that. Did you have what it was gonna cost the county if we do this 5%, 5.5% proposed? Or Mark, did you have that? How much
Bring
total
those
does that
figures. I
cost?
sent that to you, didn't I? Pretty sure I did. I forgot to print that out. Write that down.
I don't remember if you sent that to us either. I'm trying to remember.
Did you send it to me Friday?
Maybe.
I don't know how much, we still have some in the reserve fund or whatever that we're putting in there for the request.
I do want to make a comment about holding off on some capital improvements. We held off on capital improvements on something called Wildwood Extension for 12+ years, and all it did was cost us more money than it saved us. We could have invested that money 12 years ago. Every year we hold off, Eric, no matter how good a job you do, and you do a good job with investing that money, but the best we've ever done is approach 5% on T-bills and T-notes, right?
Right,
And that's not going to cover the increased construction costs.
I'm not saying it did.
Right.
I'm not saying it should. I'm not saying it's.
Well, I mean, if
You
you
all
say
a
put off,
salary- You all put a salary reserve out there to handle just these sort of requests during the year. That's the money that we're trying to get our hands on, not the $2.5 million that my office has been able to generate from those reserve dollars that will one day go for very important and needed projects. I agree with you, Harry, but we're looking at a different pot of money than that $2.5 million, if I can say that. Because that's just gonna dwindle and dwindle and dwindle for sure as the projects get completed.
as I often do, I wear out on these things and collapse or modify. So I'm going to make a motion. We'll see if, as we said in the Army, you're going to shoot it or salute it. I'm going to make a motion that we respond to your 5.5 request with 3% and proceed towards a serious salary study for the future. That's my motion. We'll see if anybody seconds it or not.
Well, I would second that, because I want to do something today, but then, we just can't say, okay, we've done it, we're done with you all. We're not. So we do need to do something.
So how much did we have left in that little salary pot, that reserve pot that we were talking about?
Well, actually, I thought it was 277. Is that, when Mark did the budget, he had a line at the bottom. And actually one office
We've gone through.
asked for 10%. So he threw that number in there.
Right.
And it's 277 when you add across the bottom. And this ask is much less than 277.
And we've used some of that in
Yeah,
other
this
areas,
has the
so-
nurses.
Yeah, okay.
Of that pot,
salaries,
only the nurse, because that didn't
so-
include 277 was just in general fund, did not public works, so that was a different pot. So,
That means
so
just
of
a
that,
round
you took
number.
out the 42,000 plus, plus benefits, whatever,
And this does have
so you
the,
got
for nurses. So
two
it's
and a
roughly
quarter.
50 some
So
thousand.
you got
You've already took out.
So you got 225,000 left, just a round number?
Yeah.
it does have maintenance in this, and it also has emergency management in this.
Right, sure.
What, I see what Sheila sent us, but I haven't heard her say anything about, you've always asked her on the other request,
We just asked her to get
if they
information.
were
and-
reasonable or not.
Well, you can ask her that. I look at it and use my own, which unfortunately is very subjective. You know, we probably all have different ideas of where they should be compared to. But I don't want to put her on the spot, because I just asked her for the information.
Put her on the spot
So-
either, with all due respect, I didn't expect Harry to not counter. I figured he would, but I don't remember hearing a counter offer made on other county salaries. So I think the 5.5% sounds like it works with HR, sounds like the financials can feasibly afford it. I am not going to reject the 3%, but I'm not gonna salute it either.
Can we request Sheila's opinion? Is that
I don't want
appropriate?
to put her on the spot, though, I don't think we should do that.
She drove all the way here in definitely fine weather. I think she should. No, she might be. Your boss-
I just don't want y'all beating her up for just bringing us the information.
No,
And that's what we.
I'm
we
not,
asked
but I
her
don't,
to do, so.
I mean, when I look at the information for my office, two of my employees are, at least two of mine are underpaid. So,
I mentioned Sheila because we've all talked with her in the last 2 weeks since we last had the meeting. She's been an integral part, whether she realizes it or not, for us getting to this point of the 5.5 and sticking with it. Her input has been invaluable.
and we certainly all realize it's your all's decision, not hers.
Yeah.
But, I value her opinion, and hopefully you all will too.
So then, do we know what the effect of the 3% would be dollar-wise? Do we have any idea if that's
I don't have access to my email. I'm
And
sorry.
is that
That's
just
bring
the- 6?
That's what we're asking for.
offices?
I don't know if that's what your motion is.
His
Just
motion
on the
That's what I'm just
6.
asking for clarification, if that's
Okay.
gonna be, because the pot of money also included a few that were under us. So
Right.
if what you're requesting, or what Harry's motion is just for the 6
It is.
offices.
Well,
Then-
this is even the prosecuting attorney's request. So this is all the requests. This is maintenance, this is,
Right.
yeah.
I just put
So
in
I-
what
this
every,
is-
But they're
just to
talking just the
clarify,
6,
I
and Harry's
put
motion
in
is just the 6.
what every department asked for in their budget requests, over and above COLA. That's what this number represents. That just got put in a reserve for everybody to try and access later during the year. So that's how we came up with that. It wasn't based on same 2,000 per employee like some people had, or some, those requests were all over the board. So, but that's what's in that number.
Mark sent me an email on Thursday that said, if you approve the 5.5% request for just the 6 elected officials' employees, that would be about $48,000 plus $9,600 in benefits, total $57,600.
That's the ask today at the 5.5.
That's the ask at 5.5.
For the 6 departments.
6
Yeah.
elected officials.
Right.
Correct.
Employees of the 6 not the elected officials, of course.
No, we
But
can't.
the employees of those 6 elected officials' offices.
And then what are we gonna have left after that? Because I know we got
Well,
maintenance was in there. What
Well,
else did you
we-
have in
We
there?
have, we have maintenance, we have prosecuting attorney, we have emergency management. And see, I want to address those as well.
Let me add
Borrow
this.
that for a second.
This is also part of Mark's email to me. Currently, based upon the latest numbers, the county is projected to raise about 17 million in new money, if you want to call it that, normal recurring revenues, and about 16.6 in expenses. So that leaves a $400,000
General fund only.
general fund only.
Yeah.
400,000 positive. And if we do the 5.5, we've just eaten into that by about 58,000, right? 57.5, your number?
Right, yes.
So we're still, quote, profitable, or we're not burning up reserves at this pace. I will caution you that we are a little concerned about the revenue side slipping, but it's early.
Did that 277 include the new attorney
Uh-huh.
and new positions?
Yeah, I think
So
that-
that wasn't just raises, that was new positions too.
No, this is, I don't think anything.
Right, that's everything. That's what everybody has.
Oh, that
New
one's a new fund,
positions,
Yeah, so that cuts that down quite a bit. So it wasn't 226 or 227 that we left. Take that out.
He's eliminated one position though.
I've eliminated, you're talking about me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
eliminated one position. One of my part-time positions will transition to a full-time position in September. Is what we
Yeah, which is
agreed to
what,
do. Instead of creating an entirely new position, it just takes someone from part-time to full-time.
I will say included in that number, it was Greg's request for a full-time. That is in this number, but of course you didn't approve that. But that's in this salary reserve number.
That was just.
Because that's what he requested over and above COLA, yeah. So that got put in there as well.
And I can assure you that for the foreseeable future, my TMF fund will be turning over at least $100,000 a year to the county general fund. That it's not getting now. As soon as my remodeling is finished, then I can only keep 50% of what the fund brings in the account, so that'll be money that you're not currently counting on.
And reserve monies will continue to earn about 4.25 for the next year or two.
And also keep in mind, every year I contribute to the general revenue in public administrative fees based on my conservator accounts, anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000.
Of course, some of our offices have no revenue generating, but sorry, that's just the nature of our office. So I understand your argument, but
You can eliminate.
I can't generate any revenue. The auditor has no statutory authority to generate any fees or revenues. Anyway. Sorry, didn't mean to
okay.
put you down, but but we're all different, yeah.
I'm just trying to figure where we're at with that amount of money. Well, you had around 57,000, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the five, that's 5.5%.
And we have that in the salary request.
Is this thing plugged in over there? Head on. I'm running out of it. It is.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's a sign here.
Wrap it up.
Yes.
So we have a motion.
Gary, let me ask you, that 58,000, is that over the course of the budget year or what? That additional, what is that?
I assume.
That's annualized. I mean, yeah, we're already a couple months in. That would be an
Okay,
annualized
that's all.
amount if they do approve 5.5%.
I was very, I changed my motion to 5.5. I mean, that's really good.
I'd second that.
I thought that's why y'all asked for 5.5, because you need to get them down to 3, or up to 3. Up to 3. That's- I don't know, we got so many things we need to fix in there too, and then hate the salary study, I just don't think it's gonna work, and we won't comply with it, but it might be something we just have to.
I would,
Do the 5.5 and forget about the salary study.
But that doesn't fix some of these other things, because
It'll
it's,
cost you more for the
5.5.
salary study than to give us the 5.5.
salary study is a one-time
Yeah.
cost.
but that's gonna take time, and in the meantime, I wanna do something for your employees.
And then, okay, so we'll have, Locke's got some people that he's gonna wanna talk about.
Yeah,
We still have maintenance, we'll still have, our office.
But that's all in
I
that
don't know.
request, though, isn't it? In the reserve. you
Well, it's
put
all in the
Yes,
reserve,
it
yeah,
is.
it's all in the salary.
yeah.
And we're not, if you put the money in there, does that mean you had that money?
That's what I'm
and you
trying
put
to
in the
figure
reserve?
out, if we take all your requests that are in that request, take the 6 and put it in this bubble over here. If it's under that, then I don't have an argument today. That's why I don't really know what it is.
It's well under that.
Okay, because we had some that wanted 10%, some that wanted 8 or 3 or whatever. It was all over the place, but
Yes.
But I do wanna include,
But that is in that request, that is there.
but it's gonna be different than this 58.
But you were down to 225 after you took the nurses out of there? And you take 58 out of that, you're at 170, let's say?
with a couple of positions and different things in there.
$170,000 still is a hell of a lot left to take care of those other requests adequately.
Well, if we're sure that's within that bubble of money for that,
Then you could amend my motion.
well, I mean, your motion is within the means, is what
Oh,
I'm saying.
I'm well
So,
below that. Let's just back up a second and just get all of our numbers together. 277 was placed there because of all the various asks that we didn't want to address on the front side of the budget.
yeah, we thought it'd be a good idea to kick it down the road.
Okay, so it's been kicked.
Next time.
But now,
it's at budget time.
the 277 is evaporated a bit based upon what?
Some of them that have already been given.
Like the health department.
Health.
The health
Six
was-
So you're
nurses
taking
at
6 and
7,000.
7,000, so you're taking
It was 42.
2,000
Was 42,000 plus
benefits.
about 20%.
I figured 35, so you might want
Benefits?
to, yeah, on everything. Well, I figured that
Well,
on
I know,
everything.
but that's not accurate. Because
Well,
we're not adding
that's how I
people.
compute, I just want to be honest, that's how I computed it.
Okay, but we didn't eat that much.
You didn't, yeah.
It's, when you don't add a body, the most expensive fringe we have is health insurance.
Right,
But if you're not adding a body, you're not adding a health insurance premium.
correct,
You're just adding some payroll tax.
correct.
other
I should have
stuff.
computed that differently. I did
Payroll
not, but I
tax.
will in the future, yeah.
Retirement, which is close to.
It's about 20%
Okay. So
extra for
that's,
a raise. yeah.
those nurses, cost about 50,000. About 50.
Right.
So that leaves us 227. So what did we back off then besides that, or what?
Also included that is the 35,000 for a new position. Plus, that would be 35% added on that though,
Okay.
for Greg, which you say you're not going to approve, right?
Well,
For another full-time position.
I'd say no.
Okay, all right, whatever. I'm just saying, that's in there. That's in that number.
Okay, so that's gonna be, won't exceed 45.
Okay.
So that leaves us 182. All right. What you're bringing us today is 57.6 or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
In fact, if I can get this back. I don't-
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah.
Oh, say 57.
Okay.
182 minus 57. We're at 125. still have 125 left to take care of maintenance, commission, employees. Who am I missing?
Lot, emergency
Emergency
management.
management and PA.
Actually, take out another, is Eric still here? Yeah. Eric, you're.
Which one?
That was parks and planning got raises too,
Landlord?
right, in your request? You got approval addition? Yeah, but
Okay.
This? I'm out of juice.
you did approve some additional pay raises for parks and planning, which is in this number, that's Fund 100. Because there's a few people that are paid out of Fund 100, so.
That's not much.
Not much. I'd add another 10,000 maybe.
most.
At most.
Still at 115.
Okay, and that's including emergency management's request
Yes,
and including the prosecuting attorney's request
right.
And
and
maintenance.
maintenance request.
And a couple of commission employees.
Yes,
potentially.
yes, we got it. Okay,
Yes.
so where does that leave us?
We're at 115 unused of the 277.
I don't have anything else to argue, talk about. So,
We thought you were gonna amend it.
We were praying you were going to amend the request.
I'm at the 3. It's up to the guy with the motion.
You can amend my motion.
Well, I would amend it then to the 5.5% if, we're still
I was good
below
with
our,
3.
Thought you were done arguing.
I would amend it to 5.5.
Thank you.
I accept your amendment.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No Christmas cards again.
Okay, call for the question. All in favor? Aye. Dies.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
I'm just waiting for the Eastern District
Oh.
Commissioner. How about I call for the noes first?
all in favor? Aye.
You want me to say nay?
I don't
That's where I'm
care.
at.
I want you to say aye. We could flip scripts here. You could do the aye and I could do the nay, and then I get to tell everybody I'm prudent and frugal.
No, I'll wear that hat pretty well.
Aye.
I already said
Okay.
nay.
Okay, motion is passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we still need to do a study.
That was part of the
Yes,
motion.
okay, yes. Yes,
Can I
we
point
need
out
to-
that the city did their study 2 or 3 years ago, and it has been, my understanding, fairly well received after all this time, how much it costs and the effect it has on their employees and come budget time. Apparently, it was not a waste of money, so just FYI.
I would argue if you look at their budget.
Say that again.
I said I would argue if you look at their budget. So,
Who are we talking about?
City's salary study.
Boy, I expect the efficiency is going to go up tomorrow.
Gonna go on this next half hour.
And I'm hoping somebody will clean the ice off my car, although my car's over at the library, at the chamber. And wash my cars and everything else, so. Okay,
Thank you again.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, guys.
We are done with that. Do we have anything else before we go into closed session? You were included in this.
No. I thought that was just the
Motion.
6.
This is the 6. Now, we've got to address 4 different
Correct.
places.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Commission employees, the maintenance, EM, and prosecuting attorney.
Didn't we consider our office too? I mean, I
But
don't
we
know.
need
Well,
to-
I'm
we
saying
need-
commission, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, we need to,
And
Did we
we've
leave
got-
any, did we
we've
leave
got
anybody else out? We got everybody in, what
Well,
I was
that's-
talking about here, and
That's everything in
lots of
the
kind of a separate one we can,
yeah.
I'm not sure we put maintenance in, or, yeah, we did, we pulled it. We haven't maybe
Yeah, it was
officially done
all-
it, but, that was a 10 for, Parks planning, Parks, okay.
Okay.
I don't, what about the PA?
I-
Right there.
The PA, I would go with his request.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you're eliminating one position, so, and then the new attorney will have for 4 months, so it's 25,000. And then a raise for your office manager.
Well, so what I requested was.
Employee raises, you.
Right,
yeah.
other raises as well.
Yeah.
However, 37,500 of that gets eaten by the eliminated position. So total for raises, I'm only asking for another 7,500.
Yeah, I'm good.
And then the new position.
Yeah,
once
yeah.
that-
so where's I don't have my notes from the PA stuff, so
It's changed a little bit since then.
the 7,500, is that for one
So-
person or?
No, it's for multiple.
Okay, so
So
what
it'll-
percentage
it
is
would-
that gonna be for them? Do you
it
know
would
that
be-
at all?
Say
They're like-
5.5.
Yeah, 503. So, no, it's a total of 45 for the office for raise, 37,500 of that is eaten by the eliminated position. So the only additional amount I'm asking for is 75.
And I'm good with that.
So how many positions is getting that 30, or the 7,500 split up?
Several. I've previously provided a breakdown of that. It's maybe changed a little bit here and there since. I know I've lowered the
I
number. even-
think we had it at budget time, we were
Yeah.
looking at it, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't know we were gonna address yours, so I didn't bring that with me. But I'm just curious what percentage that is for them, if it's a 3 or 5.5.
I think it varies by employee.
So-
Because we didn't specifically put it on the agenda to define who we were discussing, I guess it's an appropriate discussion today. But because my numbers did not include anything other than the 6, I would ask that we take maintenance, EMA, prosecutor, and commission and add those next week so that I can get some data together, because that was not included in any of my numbers.
I'd like to look at it too and see where it was at. I don't think
Well,
I
I'd
had
like
it.
to represent to the prosecuting attorney that if we put it off a week, we've already told him, eyeball to eyeball, it's gonna pass. We're gonna take care of it next week, officially take care of it, but unofficially, we took care of it today. I don't wanna crawdad on that.
Okay.
And I want to at least, for our, I want to at least do the 5.5%, just because that's just not fair otherwise.
The caseload's getting reduced since we have another judge.
Great question. Been a
Maybe whenever you get another
been
attorney.
a stop-start to the year with all the weather and everything.
Yeah, that has not helped.
It has not.
Okay. So we are done on salary discussion. Okay. Do we have anything else to come before us before we go into closed session? Sheila will compile that, but,
I have much of the data, but it was not included in the
Yeah.
spreadsheet form.
Yeah,
I'd like
okay.
to review it, make sure my numbers are correct.
okay. Okay. Anything else?
We ready for?
I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Pursuant to section 610.021 of the RSMO, the commission will go into closed session to discuss the following: bids and negotiated contracts under section 610.021 subsection 12.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sam?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.